Good morning, you're here and you're joining us from sunny California. We're here with Arianne Walker. She's the Chief Evangelist for Amazon Smart Vehicles. Also here we have my co-founder, our CTO, Norbert. And so, going to jump straight into it, get to know you a little bit. So can you tell us a little bit about your world and what you do?
Absolutely, love to. First, thanks for having me. Love to be here. And yes, it's a beautiful day, so thrilled to be here outside and in person. I love it. So as you said, I am Chief Evangelist for Amazon Smart Vehicles. And basically what that means is I get to share data-driven insights with the automotive and tech industries, particularly around voice in the vehicle as well as the digital cabin.
Amazing. And so on a day-to-day basis, what does your day-to-day look like?
My day-to-day. Well, sometimes I get to speak to folks like yourselves. Okay. Other times I get to go to events and talk to large rooms or sometimes smaller rooms. I love being able to do that in person. And like I said, I'm excited about doing this back in person because doing it virtually in front of the computer the last couple of years has been less interesting, but still good. But then also I spend a lot of my days actually digging into the insights and the research to actually identify the things that consumers expect, what consumers are experiencing, what they want from that experience in the vehicle itself.
Well, tell us a bit about the sources of those insights. How do you collect these insights?
Yeah, sure. So we have some of those insights we get from, internal from our own customers, and we can, dig into some of that, which is great. But a lot of the data that I look at actually comes from external sources. One of the studies that we have worked on year after year is actually with J.D. Power, who are experts in automotive, and they've helped us really understand across the board from consumers, not just Amazon customers, but consumers across the board, what they expect in the car, how satisfied they are with the experiences that they're having in the car today, etc. And so that's one source of data, but we have lots and lots of sources of data.
Awesome. Yeah. And so we're talking to an awful lot of radio groups within this tool series. So let's go your background in radio, and could you think
I don't have a radio voice.
Your experiences of radio and with radio advertising. Can you remember the first radio advert that really stuck out?
Sure. There are two advertisements that I remember vividly. I'm not sure if they were the first, but they were. The first one that I'll mention is do you remember the Big Mac commercial? All beef patties, special sauce. Okay, I won't sing it. And the other one was the Oscar Mayer commercial, or advertisement. My bologna has a first name. It's OSCAR, right? Right. So those are just burned into my brain. I love them. I still sing them to my kids. They laugh at me when I do. But I think I'll never forget those adverts.
And we're always looking for best practice. And why do you think you remember them so well?
Well, they're jingles. They're both jingles, and they're both jingles that are about the product, and they're long enough so that you could learn them and sing them. And like I said, I still remember them all these years later. I'm pretty sure both of those ads were in the 70s. So, they really stuck with me, and I won't sing them here today, but I do sing them. I try to teach my kids the Big Mac commercial, and they just laugh at me. But it was singable. It was almost, I can't call it interactive because the ad didn't react back to me, but I got to act and sing and get involved with the ad itself.
Amazing.
So that's why I think I remember them. Yeah.
And that's quite exciting, that it made you react and be present and actually participate in the real world. And obviously we're going to come on to why we think that's so exciting. How do you think advertising has changed since that point up to today?
So first of all, I don't think that ads do those same kind of jingles today. Now, there's still some jingles, but they're short, right? And when I hear them, I know what the ad's for, and so they're still powerful. I don't want to dismiss those in any way, but I don't go around singing them, and a lot of ads don't have jingles at all, right? It's just talking, and I kind of only half listen, So to me, that's how things have changed.
Do you think that the role of Incar interactive voice will change the relationship with which the consumers engage with brands in a car?
Yeah, absolutely. I think being able to have a conversation with your voice AI. For us, it's Alexa, of course, but being able to interact in that very natural way, I think, is incredibly powerful and allows brands to think about, how do I get my message across to customers in a way that can be interactive, using voice, not having to worry about the visual, especially when somebody's in the car, and really get people engaged with that message. I think it's very powerful.
And as you're engaging with the consumers, especially with the JD Power example you said, do you see a differentiation with how consumers engage with a Alexa device at home versus in a vehicle?
So what I'll say is, one of the beautiful, amazing benefits is that consumers actually talk about is having a seamless experience, or that continuity from home to car. So in many ways, it's a similar experience when they're in their home and in their car. They may be asking for different things, potentially, or sometimes they're asking for the same thing. For instance, I'll give you an example. When I'm at home, perhaps I'm listening to a podcast on my smart speaker at home, and I pause that podcast because now I need to jump in the car, and I can then continue that podcast once I get in the car seamlessly, no problem, because it's all connected in the cloud. Likewise, when I go from my car to my home, when I'm in my car, I can actually check on things on my home, make sure that all my lights are on, my smart lights, or off, whatever it needs to be, or shutting the garage door. That's my favorite example. When you leave the house and you think, did I close the garage door? Well, we used to have to go around the block and check, so you didn't have anxiety about it. And now you can just ask Alexa to close the garage door, and gets done for you. So that connection and continuity is really powerful.
Brilliant. And then what in car, kind of on the go use cases? What more can you do when you're on the go, when you're talking to your voice assistant?
Yeah. Well, I think there are lots of things that people want to be able to do. Everything from the simple, access all the different great types of entertainment, to being able to connect with the world around them, find points of interest, navigate, etc. But one of my favorite things is actually being able to find and pay for gas, it's a fabulous experience. Today, consumers in the U.S. Can go to any ExxonMobil station. I think there are over 11,000 stations in the United States. And you pull up to the gas station and say, Alexa, pay for gas. Mm-hmm. Alexa will confirm your location. So make sure you're at the gas station that Alexa thinks that you are at. Confirm the pump number, and then the payment part is completely taken care of. And so you don't have to take out a credit card and slide through. Yeah, it's so great. Now, you still have to pump the gas in the states where you're allowed to pump gas. So one day, if Alexa can do that for us, that would be even more incredible. But I think that's such a great use case, and I love it. And I love using it. My kids laugh at me whenever I find an Exxon station. I'm like, oh, I got to pull in. And they say, really, you need gas today? I'm like, yes, I do.
Amazing. Yeah. And in terms of quantifying the scale of the opportunity.
Yeah.
So, are there any kind of speeds and feeds that you can share in terms of where the amount of time people spend within their vehicles, or the amount of where is the opportunity here for people to engage with?
That's a really good question. So one thing I can tell you is that there is industry data that shows that people spend, and this was pre-pandemic, so but about an hour in the vehicle per day on average, right? So that is a lot of time, right? And some people spend significantly more time, and other people obviously spend less, but that is a lot of time where you're in the vehicle, and as a driver, I have hands on the wheel and eyes on the road, and so being able to use your voice and your ears, right, to engage in that content, it's such a powerful time and place to be able to do that. So great opportunity.
Yeah. Now you're working internationally as well with your data analysis, and we talked earlier. Talk to us a bit about how you see this difference around the world in behavior and expectations.
Yeah. Sure. So we'll go back to the JD Power data that we mentioned earlier. And this last year, they surveyed consumers across 4 different countries. So the US, the UK, Germany, and India. And while we saw similarities between the US and the European countries. India was a little bit of an outlier, actually. The consumers in India are so bullish on this technology. They just love it. They embrace it. They want to be able to absolutely have the same voice that they have at home in their vehicle. I think, I'm trying to remember the numbers, it was like 97 or 98% of them said they want that same voice at home or in their vehicle that they have at home. And they want to do everything with their voice in the car, you know, from those standard things that we talked about earlier, entertainment and navigation and those things, all the way down to even being able to shop in their car with their voice. You know, everything. They just really seem to love the technology. Now, all that being said, I will mention across all 4 countries, there is a strong preference for that same voice AI that they have at home to be in their vehicle, with on average 87% across all 4 of those countries.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of desire and expectation around this for sure.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. You
Yes.
know, I would hate to have to pick up a different operating system every time I use
Right.
the phone, right?
Right.
And it's giving me the same kind of access.
That's
I can see that works really nicely.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of, you know, what we're doing is helping people kind of engage with that advertising. I think just kind of, in summary, like, we're really hoping to get to a world where you can be driving along in your car and hear a jingle and then talk back and then
Yes.
engage in a conversation.
Love
You know,
it.
that's the way that we're going with this world. And just to kind of sum this all up, if as you're kind of getting back into your car and heading away, what radio station will you be listening to?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I'm not gonna highlight a particular radio station. I will admit I love my 80s rock.
Yeah.
So I do. So if you live in Southern California, you'll know what station that is. We'll just leave it at that. But I will say, I think one of the really powerful things is being able to access all kinds of content. When we talk about radio, not just being able to do it in my car, but also being able to bring that radio back into my home through a smart speaker is amazing, right? I mean, I know we used to all have radios in our home. I think less so nowadays.
Yeah.
And so being able to bring that content into the home is great, you know, and again, having that continuity, but also in the car, being able to access streaming music, of course, you know, when desired, and podcasts and audiobooks and all of it, depending on what mood you're in.
Yeah.
You know, I absolutely love that.
Amazing,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Wonderful.
Look, thanks very much for carving out some of your precious time here, and also in a week where we're spending a lot of time in conference centres and in offices. It's really nice to be brought outside. So
Yes.
thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks for having me.